Good morning. Welcome to Unity. Welcome to this special time. The subject today is consecration. It's the 7th part of our series on the book Sabbath by Wayne Mueller. Consecration means to make something holy, or declare that it's holy, or to recognize that it's sacred, special, or holy. I put a lot of stuff up here this week. Put a lot of extra candles up here for the process of consecration. Okay? So, we always have the Christ candle lit. We acknowledge the presence of the Christ in all of creation and within ourselves. Lighting candles is often the beginning of a sacred time, like the ringing of church bells or a gong in a temple. Well, we're lighting the Christ candle, and I have 12 others here to acknowledge the presence of spiritual energies within us. Life. Okay. Try to remember all the names. Life, imagination, power, judgment or wisdom, understanding, zeal, faith, love, Come on, love. Sometimes we have to go out of our way to connect with love. There we are. F-L. Order. Will. Strength. Power. We declare that this is a sacred space, that this is a holy time. We light these candles in acknowledgement of Unity's understanding of the presence of God everywhere and within us. These spiritual qualities of the Holy Spirit are within us. The idea, the formative power that holds the universe together is called the Christ, and that idea, that power is within us. And so we declare that. We consecrate this time. We consecrate this place. A holy place. Sacred space. So I invite you to bring into this time, to bring into this space everything you've heard on the news. Everything going on in your life. Everything going on in the lives of your family, friends, neighbors. Bring all of that here into this sacred space. Robert, would you bring up the prayer box, please? This is a symbol of bringing in everything. Bring in the prayer requests. Bring in our dreams. Bring in our needs, our questions, and our doubts. I'll put it right there. We join together with all of that. Thank you. So we come together with each other, and we come together with churches everywhere. A lot of churches are opening up today. We remain connected with them and bless them on their process. We join together with synagogues and temples and mosques. We join together in an affirmation of oneness about the presence of God. That presence of God that is certainly with us. So, take this invocation, this consecration moment into yourself and open up your mind and heart. And listen to surely the presence. Presence of goodness, absolute goodness, here with us on earth. The presence of absolute goodness is with each one of us and within each one of us. There's only one presence and one power. In the universe and in our lives, God. Absolute goodness. That's an affirmation of oneness. That there is no supernatural power of evil at war, in conflict with goodness. When we see the needs, though, when we see what's going on in our lives, it makes us wonder. An old story from the Hebrew Testament. About Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was his father's favorite. He was the youngest, and his older brothers didn't like that, and so they conspired to kill him. They decided not to kill him. Instead, they decided to sell him to a slave trader and get rid of him, and he disappeared, and they told their father that he was killed. He went off to Egypt, ended up being an assistant to the Pharaoh, an overseer of all the resources that were distributed during a time of famine or of shortage. And his brothers went to Egypt to the food bank there to get some food, and Joseph saw him and showed himself, revealed himself. And then there's a phrase that's in that story that is famous. That is kind of mysterious. Joseph said to his brothers, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. You intended evil for me, but God intended it for good." Now, I have a little problem with that. That makes it sound like God had it all figured out in advance and was just pulling strings and making things happen. I don't think that's the way it is. I think a better translation of that might be, you meant it for evil, but God meant to bring good out of it. God means to bring good out of everything that's going on. Absolute goodness is the goal. Absolute goodness is the process. Absolute goodness is the energy. There's a phrase that Paul uses in one of his letters in the New Testament. God works in all things together for good. All things are worked together for good. That's the nature of ultimate reality. Goodness. Working with everything. That fits with today's daily word. Today's daily word is divine order. Divine order. It's a popular phrase in unity. Once again, we look around and it's like, where's the order in this chaos? Because we see chaos. And for me, divine order is a process. It's an energy. For me, it would be better to call it divine ordering. It's an energy that takes everything, works it all together into order, into goodness. A picture of that Minneapolis police officer kneeling on the neck of George Floyd and killing him. He didn't have goodness in mind. Now, I don't know if he had evil intent, but he certainly wasn't thinking about connection. He wasn't thinking about oneness. We might say he meant it for evil. He meant it to do harm. God means to bring good out of all of it. Out of all of the weird, dysfunctional, evil things going on in the world, those are all the building materials for growth, for continued evolution of the universe. Take all of that and make good out of it. It's not all predetermined. It's unfolding. That's why humanity has free will. There is the freedom of creation continuing to go on now. A couple people at George Floyd's memorial service said that he changed the world. Something happened. Something new. Something shifted because of his tragic death. I saw a mural of George Floyd with angel wings on it. It's like, I thought, well, for me, that's probably, yeah, that's true. We all have or will have angel wings. For me, it would have been more appropriate to have George Floyd hanging on a cross. That's kind of severe to say that. But his death made clear the dysfunction in our society, made clear the limited vision that we have as humans. They made clear how twisted our values are, in the same way that the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth 2,000 years ago made clear the dysfunction in the existing system there. There's still the same kind of dysfunction present today. Now, maybe we've improved some. I do believe we have improved some, but we have a ways to go. And his martyrdom, his sacrifice, awakens us, opens our eyes. 2020, 2020 is to be able to see clearly. 2020 is the time to make it clear, to see clearly what's happening and what needs to happen. I saw on one of the news shows in the reporters in Minneapolis were standing in front of a park where there were 100 of tombstones set up to identify black lives that had been sacrificed, that had been improperly taken. And they were tombstones. I think they should have been crosses. They were agents of good. God, the universe, absolute goodness, takes what's happening and works it together for good, even if it's tragic. The pain and the sadness and the injustice of it still, and it's grist for the mill. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't justify it, but that means that good is still present. A difference was made because of them. All things work together for good. Everywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King said at one point, the arc of the universe bends toward justice. The arc of the universe, the nature of being, the way things are inclined toward justice, inclined toward goodness, inclined toward abundance and healing and oneness. It's holy. It is sacred. There is no place where God is not. And so the activity of God is present in the universe. It is consecrated. The activity of God is present within us. We are consecrated. We are holy. And the bending of that arc of the universe is our work. What we do, what our lives are, makes a difference. Just one person can make a difference. Just one person. Think about that. You can make a difference. You may not have any idea what's going to happen, how it's going to turn out, but you are here as an agent of justice, oneness, abundance, healing, and peace. Just one person can make a difference. Listen to this song from Thomas Warfield.
If just one person believes in you, deep enough, strong enough, believes in you, hard enough and long enough, before you know it, someone else would think, if you can do it, I can do it, making it too. To all people who believe in you, and if two whole people believe in you, deep enough, strong enough, believe in you, hard enough, long enough, there's bound to be some other person person who believes in making it a threesome, making it three. People you can say, believe in me. If three whole people, why not four? If four whole people, why not more and more and more? When all those people believe in you, deep enough, strong enough, believe in you. Hard enough, long enough, it stands to reason you yourself would start to see what everybody sees in you. And maybe even you can believe in you too.
Just one person. What about you? What's yours to do? How do you contribute to the goodness of the universe? How do you contribute to all things being worked together for good? The way that you contribute, the way that you make a difference comes from the center of your being, comes from the sacred space in your heart and mind, comes from the Christ within you and the spiritual powers, the activity of the Holy Spirit within you. Where's that in you? Is it near the surface? Deep within? In this section on consecration in the book Sabbath, Wayne Mueller quotes some words from Jesus, from the Matthew 6:21. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I didn't know what that meant for the longest time. It's like, well, treasure's in the heart, right? How do you separate those? He explains that by saying, whatever we place at the center of our lives, whatever gets that we declare to be a treasure because we put it at the center, that's what gets all of our energy. That's what gets all of our care. That's what gets all of our attention. That's what gets our heart. That's what gets our life energy. What we put at the center, what we declare is most important. What's most important? We're told what's most important by our families. We're told what's most important by our culture, by society and the media. We have to make it clear what's most important to us. The Hindu philosopher Ramakrishna said, if one among weavers, one will gradually be able to distinguish a 41 from a 42 strand thread simply by touch. I guess there's strands in threads that are used for weaving, and there's different thicknesses, and one has 41, one has 42, and if you live among weavers enough, you'll be able to make that distinction, because we learn from our environment, we learn from our families, we learn from our society, and it's almost as automatic as learning how to speak the language that we were born in. It's programmed into us. Sometimes we need to change the programming. Sometimes the programming is not appropriate. We may need to revise what is at the center of our being. We need to see clearly, to distinguish 41 from 42. Distinguish what were the values and beliefs of the ancestors that were unconsciously given to us, that we unconsciously took as true. A couple phrases in the news have been waking me up, opening my eyes, jerking me around, waking me up. Systemic racism and white privilege. Not comfortable with those. That's good, because it needs to be examined. I need to examine that. I grew up in that and was programmed with that. Accepted it without question for the longest time. And even now, after a lifetime of recognizing the evil of that, still can admit that it's present within me. It's present within me because we share that. It's shared in our culture. It's part of the nature of being human. That racism, that privilege is a growing edge in human consciousness around the world. And each one of us, I have a responsibility to be conscious about it and to be an agent of healing. So, all things work together for good. They're working. God is meaning to bring good out of it. We need to go to where the presence of God is within us. We need to go to the center. We need to go to where our treasure is, what we hold in our hearts, and look at it and say, is this what I want at the center of my being? Or at least to be conscious, to have 20/20 vision, to see clearly what I am holding at the center of my being. We're all here to make a difference. We have all said yes to an invitation for a mission. It's the story of Isaiah in the 6th chapter of Isaiah, where he found himself before the throne of God and the angels, and they said, who shall we send to do this job? And Isaiah said, here I am, send me. And I think we all did that in one way or another. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm willing to go. And here we are. We are here as agents of the evolution of the universe, the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical growth of being itself. We are consecrated. We are made holy. There's a Christian tradition called apostolic succession. Priests and ministers talk about it. That Jesus laid hands on his disciples, and the disciples laid hands on other people, and it continued all the way down to ministers and to priests, at least, and some ministers now, and they claim that this goes all the way back to Jesus. Well, we claim that holiness, that consecration goes back farther than that. It goes back to the first story in the scriptures that said God took a lump of clay and breathed life into it and said, that's good. And that was us. That's humanity. We have been consecrated. We have been declared holy just by the sake of how we were created and the presence of the breath of life within us. That's at the center of our being. And it is the source of guidance for what we do. It's the source of wisdom. It's the source of energy to be able to do what we need to do. It's the source of inspiration to give us direction. It's the source of the connecting energy of love that holds the universe together. So, what's mine to do then? What's at the center of my being? What's yours to do? What's at the center of your being? As Charles Fillmore said, go to headquarters. Get centered. Go to God first. And then go out and do what's yours to do as you're directed. So we're going to spend a little time going to headquarters in a time of meditation. Let's prepare for a time of meditation on where is your treasure. Where your treasure is will be your heart. Have at the center of your being. And let's know that at the deepest center, the very center, is the presence and power of pure being, the Christ, the Holy Spirit, the Buddha nature. So, we want to see clearly what's in that center and what's around that center that might distract us. So we've all seen weather forecasts, weather radar, and they show these big swirling systems, these circular cloud patterns. They have storms and sun and clouds and lake flakes and all sorts of things going on. Well, that's similar to what's going on in our lives. There's a weather system that surrounds each one of us. It's all around us. Storms and clouds, sunbreaks and lake flakes, different thoughts and ideas and responsibilities and voices and obligations. So, close your eyes and imagine that there is a weather system moving around you, in front of you, on either side, and behind you. It's made up of everything that's going on. Everything that's going on in our world and culture and country. Politics and policing and prejudice and projects and protests and it's in the circle. And then there's all of the things that the way we are connected with our community. How are you connected with the nation and the city, with your neighborhood, with your spiritual community? That makes up the atmosphere around you. What's happening at your house or at your home? Projects that you have, things that you value, all part of that consciousness system that surrounds you. The people in your life, close family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, strangers. All part of that movement of energy around your center. You have necessary activities. You have things that have to be done. Food, clothing, shelter, work, rest, play, clean, connecting. There are things that you've chosen to do. Where do you allocate the resources of your attention? Think about where you spend a lot of your time. That says something about what you treasure. By giving it that attention, you are declaring it to be treasure. What you give a lot of care and time and attention to, you are making sacred in your life. Is it holy? Is it sacred? Is it the spiritual center of your being? There is a sacred center within you. Continue to move into that center. You have moved into a sacred place by joining in this time. Move more deeply into the sacred center in your being. Approach the center. Approach the center of Christ consciousness. Approach the heart, the kingdom of heaven. In the center of this turning world, find the still point, the treasured space, your heart. What's in that space? Is there an image? A sensation? Is there a word or phrase that seems appropriate there? You want to give your mind something to do. Let it hold on to a word or an image or a sensation. As you let go into that sacred space of rest and renewal within you. Let go now into the silence. Let go into the presence of pure being, the silence of absolute goodness. And now notice your breath. Awareness of your body-mind system. You have a body, and you have a voice. You have a mind. From that deep spiritual center within you comes thoughts. Also, words to say. Steps to take. What is yours to do? You might say, "Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, where you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart." It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, where you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. Return completely to here and now, to the arena that you have agreed to participate in, offering yourself as a gift, offering your time and your talents and your treasure, your inspiration, your difficulties, offering it all as material for the divine to work all things together for good, to support the growth and evolution of being itself. And as we are blessings in that way, and we can be blessings, we have been consecrated, we are holy, we can have powerful blessing effects. And in blessing what we give, we are blessed to receive. As we give, we do receive. As we bless, we are blessed. We offer a blessing. The blessing of the words that we call the prayer for protection. We offer that. to people who need to hear it, to people that we love and care about, people that we don't know. We include them. We connect our hearts with them whenever we say us together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yes, all is well. Let there be peace on earth. We join with each other. We join with God. We open to each other to the peace song. Peace.